Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth Podcast. I'm Jack Smith.
I'm Shrikar Gendern.
And I'm Manish Gupta.
And in today's episode, we're going over the winners and losers for NFL Sunday Week 2. We're deciding to put this out on Monday to kind of get a quick recap in for the Sunday night games. And before we get to our main winners, just want to say, anyone who watched Sunday Night Football, you're a winner because that was an amazing game. One of the best regular season games over the last couple of seasons, I would say. That was really an amazing game and an amazing finish. Obviously, both quarterbacks dueled it out. And I think the Patriots, they might be a lot better than we thought because they're getting it going on offense.
What was I telling you guys, though? I was saying this.
I never said anything bad about him.
Hey, we'll see. It's been 2 weeks. I'm still sticking by my thing. I'm not going to judge them until after week 4. I want to see kind of how Cam, goes about this after multiple weeks.
There was a quote by Mr. Jack Smith who said, "No chance at the division."
No, I still think there's no chance at the division.
Okay.
We'll see.
But my Josh Allen take's looking pretty good, huh?
Yeah, but he's also faced the Jets defense and the Dolphins defense, so.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, he looks amazing. 400 yards after previously never throwing for 300. He's thrown for 300 and 400 in the last 2 weeks, so.
Von Diggs had a great game, too.
We'll see, but Rush had an amazing game. There's a lot of good quarterback performances, but the first big winner that we want to get into is the Rams' status as a contender because – all three of us were low on the Rams this whole offseason. They've come out and they've beaten 2 Super Bowl contenders that a lot of people had in Philly and Dallas. And they convincingly beat Philly this week, even without being able to get a lot of pressure on Carson Wentz. So what do you guys think about the Rams, and are they a contender?
Yeah, I think the Rams, I expected it to be a much closer game, because this was a game that the Eagles had to win. This was a game the Eagles were favored to win. This was a game that the Eagles – they bring back Miles Sanders. They bring back all these players to the starting lineup because they needed a win. They needed this. But, the Rams traveled thousands of miles. You're adjusting to the East Coast time difference. You're facing Doug Peterson, who's a great head coach. And, a lot of people didn't believe in this team and, sometimes disrespected this team at times. And look, the Rams came in there and they won. And this was a team that, a lot of people, including me, expected to begin the season with 3 straight losses. But instead, Rams, they're already 2-0. They're looking good in this division. They have a strong upper hand for that NFC playoff berth, especially with this new format. So I'm impressed by the Rams, to say the least.
I think the Rams were actually favored coming into this game.
I think so too, but it was close.
Yeah, they were.
It was close.
But here's the thing. The Rams look like it's not even. I think it's just they've been here before. We're looking at this team like they're a young team. No, they're not. They've been to the Super Bowl, and they're one of the few NFC teams that have done that. Sean McVay, again, we got to give credit to him. And you know what? As much as I disagree with Coward on a little bit of things, he was right. If he's Super Bowl caliber coach, right? He's never gone less than 9-7. We have to trust him, and we're seeing it firsthand. Now, Philly and Dallas, obviously, they're not the best teams, but they are some pretty good teams that people had high expectations for, like you said, Jack. I was very impressed with Jared Goff this game. And I'm not the biggest Goff fan. I know some people have Sam Darnold over Jared Goff. Hopefully, that has now been squashed. That might have been the worst take of all time. But 20 of 27 for 267. I think he had 1 incompletion going into the first half also. And it was just how versatile this offense is. You had 38 rushing yards from 2 receivers, Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. And we've seen how versatile this offense is, what Sean McVay is able to do. Now they do a running back by committee, which I think is very underrated with this Rams team. And I think Henderson, Akers, or Brown can go off at any given time. I'm not going to say consistent. That's the thing. You don't even need consistency from any one of them because I think consistently all 3 of them can get you maybe 150 to 200 yards a game, which is a little bit high expectation, but I think they definitely can. This offensive line has looked really solid. Austin Blythe, a guy who was high on coming into the year, has proved me right. I talked about him in the Rams episode we did. So he's looking good. And especially off play action. This team is deadly off the play action. Jared Goff is arguably a top 3 quarterback off play action according to PFF. Has one of the highest QBRs, again, off play action. So that's something that teams need to watch out for, especially when he's rolling to his right. And Tyler Higbee, I said this in our Rams episode. I literally told you guys, draft him in fantasy football. He will be your savior. And whoever somehow listened to me, they are probably very happy after tonight. 3 touchdowns, I believe, today. Dudes look good. I told you this was literally, I saw the reason why I said Higbee would be good was I saw similar flashes to what I saw from Derrick Henry last time. If you finish the season doing really well, why won't it carry into next year? I don't understand that. So I'm glad my Higbee take has been taken off after a very pretty sad 2 weeks for me, at least football wise. I know Streaker's had a little bit worse than I have. Just to remind you, he is again last in picks currently.
Hey, 13-3 would have won last week. Just because me and you had amazing weeks so far. Sorry,
Jack
13-3 pending a New Orleans win tomorrow, which I swear if I just jinx them, I'll be very upset about that. But I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head with the Rams. They played really good football the last 2 weeks, but I kind of want to touch on, is it that they've played really good football, or is it that these teams, the two teams they've played, Dallas and Philly, were being overrated by teams and really they're just underwhelming?
I don't think. Here's the thing. I think Philly had a comeback going into if you guys watched the game, I was able to watch most of it. Walk it to him as
that MVP pick's aging well.
Dude, it's not even that. It was just I thought he could take the leap because obviously I had Mahomes, Russ as the favorites, but just I thought he could take the leap. And I mean, they didn't get a sack on him, but there was a decent amount of pressure. But I agree, there were some throws where I questioned it. And they were making a comeback, though. They kept it down to 5 going in, and then the pick in the end zone just pretty much broke the game open for the Rams. But, yeah, I wouldn't say it was just terrible play by these two teams because I would say the Rams played pretty well down the stretch or where at least they needed to. And they've got a tough test. I believe it is the Bills. So they've got a really tough test next week, and I'm very excited for that game. And you guys know – I'm who I'm probably going to roll with there, but it's a good test for Jared Goff. Maybe if he can outplay Josh Allen, it's a good test for this Rams defense. So I'm very excited to see that. But yeah, as of right now, I think they're looking good. And honestly, the NFC West as a whole, these 4 teams, oh my goodness. I mean,
it's going to be competitive.
Like, dude, Rams are playing tremendous. The Cardinals are playing tremendous. The Seahawks are playing. We just saw it, obviously. They're playing tremendous. The Niners, I mean, I still got to give them the benefit of the doubt.
They're going to be all right.
Are we going to see this division have 4 8-8 or above teams? I mean, it's very possible.
Very possible. Yep.
And touching on the Rams defense a little bit, I wanted to shout out Micah Kaiser, linebacker. He had 16 tackles, 1 forced fumble. Kenny Young, he had 4 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 quarterback hit. But yeah, that Rams defense, it didn't record a sack, but they did pick off Carson Wentz twice. They did knock the ball loose and recover a fumble, 3 turnovers to 1 for the Eagles. So shout out to the Rams defense as well.
Yeah, they're getting it done. And we're the first to admit, we did not think this was going to happen. We thought that they'd be kind of on a downward trend and honestly might spiral this year. Another team, at least me and Anish weren't super high on. And honestly, I'm still not completely sure where I land on this team is the winner is the Packers offensive versatility, because last week we saw Aaron Rodgers carve up Minnesota, and this week we saw them ground and pound all over Detroit. So this versatility is I think one of the biggest winners of the week.
Mm-hmm. That Packers offense, they have been impressive in these first 2 weeks. They've now put up back-to-back 40-point games. And I saw on Twitter, NFL Research, they're the 8th team in the Super Bowl era, I have it pulled up right now, to score 40-plus points in each of their first 2 games of a season. Each of the last 2 such teams went to the Super Bowl that season. And that was the 2013 Broncos and the 2009 Saints. So really, they have a well-balanced offense. They can find success on the ground and they can find success through the air. You know, the Packers, that jump from year 1 to year 2 in Matt LaFleur's system, it's looking very real. You know, Aaron Rodgers is playing really good football. Hopefully he can keep it up. He's going to have an MVP case. Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. I know Devontae Adams did go down, but they look like they're in midseason form, especially what we saw from Adams in week 1. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he continues to make big plays. I think the Packers, they're just going to need more consistent play from the defense to make an actual deep playoff run this season, maybe head back to the NFC Championship game. But look, this offense looks like it can be very much special after the first 2 games. It's not perfect. Improvements can still be made. I think Jay Sternberger, getting production from your tight ends, that should be a priority. But look, after 2 weeks, Packers have been dominant on offense, especially.
I mean, the Packers, right? I think Jack, I at least still had him going 11-5.
Yeah, I did too. But I mean, we weren't as high on them as a lot of people, especially based on kind of their
we
last
didn't think
season.
they were going to go back to the championship game.
No.
We still don't know that.
That's
I
true.
agree. The team has looked really good. And against two divisional opponents, that's also something to note. 2-0 in the division. But I think we got to take into account why this is happening. I think the best quarterback pre-snap is Aaron Rodgers, the guy who makes the most adjustments, the guy who, surveys the field. Because now we've got basically the offensive coordinator on the field, Peyton Manning. He's retired now. It's been long gone. Tom Brady does it, but not to the extent I've seen from Aaron Rodgers. I always see this man making audibles. I always hear, the Green 18 thing, right? He has his cadence, and it's just now I'm seeing it right in real time with no, noise to have any impact on it. He can make verbal calls rather than a silent count. It's so much easier to do the hard count. We've seen so many offside penalties. I don't know if you guys watched the Chiefs-Chargers game, but that
Joey
was
Bosa.
a prime example of offsides calls that happened numerous times just on a simple hard count. And you were getting some of the best defensive ends with that. So that just helps Aaron Rodgers so much, and it makes the Packers offense so dynamic. Because if you get those 5-yard penalties, now it's easier to do a run. If you get those 5-yard penalties, it's easier to do a quick crossing route rather than, a 3rd and 11 versus a 3rd and 6. It's that type of thing. So I think this really helps their offense. Again, I think Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback to benefit most from it. And this defense has also looked pretty solid. But I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is obviously like the clear-cut MVP or anything like that, but I think you're right. He does have a case for it. This team is looking pretty good. I think the Bears are also – I told you guys about the Bears. Don't sleep on them. I think the Bears are also looking pretty good. So let's see how they do against the Bears. But, yeah, I got to give it to them. Their versatility on offense, Jack, like you said, it's probably one of the more dynamic offenses in our game today.
Yeah, I mean, it is worth to note that the Bears have played 2 teams that haven't won a game yet, as well as the Packers have played 2 teams that haven't won a game yet. But it is week 2. But I mean, it's just something to keep an eye out for. But kind of going off to the other side of the ball, I think another big winner this week, a huge winner, is the Buccaneers' defensive caliber. Brady and the Bucs bounced back after week 1, and the defense, I believe, forced 4 turnovers on the Panthers, and really they won that game, I believe, for the Buccaneers.
I can go on this one. So that's the thing, though. At least I was saying this too. This defense is underrated because
it is very
everyone
underrated.
Looks at it and says, 32 ranked pass defense. It's because they were always pushed back. I mean, they were literally half the time on their own side of the field, right? So it makes it so much harder. And I was telling, right, like Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean were 2 guys I really thought had a lot of potential, and both of them showed out. I know Carlton had the pick. And this Bucs defense looks really solid. Even on the run, I think they had good time stopping Christian McCaffrey up the middle. I think off to the sides, it was a little bit trouble because guys like Vita Vea just can't get there quick enough.
But he's also Christian McCaffrey. So,
yeah,
I mean,
that is true. So, this defense has looked really good, and I'm not here's the thing, though. Would you guys say that Tom Brady's looked bad? What would you guys say?
No, but it looks like the kind of same thing as last year. Everyone's coming in saying that just he's going to be revitalized for some reason. He struggled last year. I mean, there's a legitimate case that you can say he played worse than Mitch Trubisky last year. And
okay,
I'm not kidding. If you go look it up,
if you win, you win. I don't care.
Quarterback-wise,
like said,
quarterback-wise in general.
That's the thing, though. Quarterback-wise includes being able to manage the game. You have to consider that. And you know what? I know all the hate on Tom Brady. He's been declining, blah, blah, blah. But if you win 12 games, I'm sorry. I'm still going to stick with you in my – and here's even in this game today, I think he made maybe 2 good throws the entire game. I would maybe 2. And even on the touchdown pass, it was a bit underthrown to Mike Evans. So he didn't – but the thing is he doesn't have to go crazy because he has the pieces around him. He didn't even have Godwin this game. Right. So imagine when he gets Chris Godwin back, who's the more, Tom Brady type receiver, right? Versus Mike Evans is that downfield threat. And we saw it. Tom Brady clearly underthrew him on the deep pass. So that's the thing. We need to see him at full strength. And this rushing attack looked really solid as well, too. And the offensive line looked really solid, too.
Game for them.
Yeah. And we're now seeing what Tom Brady can do with weapons. I think Rob Gronkowski is just, I'm not going to say washed or anything like that, but he doesn't have to do what he had to do in New England. I think he's got to just be there for blocking. I think that's his main thing. And I think OJ Howard can thrive as a receiving option. So this Bucs team looks good. I think people were a little bit too panicky after the loss against the Saints, one of the best rosters in the NFL. think they're fine going 1-1. We'll see how they do. But yeah, I think we all three of us still have them potentially making the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you give Tom Brady a great defense and a good rushing attack. That's really all you need, especially when he's got more weapons than he did in New England. He's going to win you games. Simple as that.
Yep, exactly.
And I'll just say like one little thing, because in the end, all that matters to Tom Brady is the Buccaneers winning football games. I don't think he really cares about his stats more than the wins. I don't think anyone does. And they did just that. And they didn't have one of their best players in Chris Godwin. He sat out with concussion symptoms. So the Bucs, they're 1-1. I think Brady is motivated. I'm not going to bet against him. And I said this before, but if you really think Brady's on a decline after one game, I just can't agree with that, because I'm never going to count Brady out until, by mid-season, he's playing really, really bad and he's obviously on a decline. But we can't say that after week 1. Like, come on.
No, and speaking to the fact he cares more about wins than stats, I mean, Drew Brees leads the league, I think, all time in passing yards and passing touchdowns, and doesn't come close to Brady in the GOAT conversation because Brady's won more games and won more big games. So Brady doesn't have anything to prove. He legitimately could go like he can go 1-15 this year and he'd still be considered the greatest of all time.
He would. But if let's say Belichick somehow coaches the team to the Super Bowl, then there would be a little bit of speculation. But
he's still trying
otherwise,
he's
still, for me at least, he solidified himself as the best player of all time. I've said it time and time again.
He's the GOAT.
But so to kind of move on, probably the game of the week, right? I would say, or at least the most meme-like funny game of the week was Atlanta blowing another lead. I think they jumped out to a 20-0 lead, 29-10 in the first half. And when I saw it, I was like, damn, I should have picked the Falcons. I was leaning to it. I remember, right, on air, I literally told you guys I changed it while we were talking. Thank God I did, because Dallas looked really solid. Dak with 3 rushing touchdowns, very efficient, 450 yards, a touchdown. Zeke had his thing. He lost a fumble, but he did okay. CeeDee Lamb looked really good. I'll let Jack touch on that. But just maybe to start off a little bit with them, I mean, Dallas was 1-12 under Jason Garrett went down at half. They're 1-0 with Mike McCarthy. That's a very interesting point that I think Jack pointed out earlier today. And what I wanted to say was this Cowboys team, this is such a big confidence booster for a team that, has always been ridiculed. And just after honestly a horrendous loss last week, right, off the OPI, I'm sure they were thinking in their heads, what if, right? And now to have this type of win, especially off the onside kick and everything that went down in that game, a 40-39 win, that is so big for your confidence, so big for your football team, especially at home where you get to do it in front of your fans. This is just a great all-around win for the Cowboys and a great look forward for them coming into week 3.
I do want to shout out Dalton Schultz, because, with Blake Jarwin out, it seemed as though the Cowboys were in trouble at tight end. There were ideas thrown out about who should we target in free agency. Let's look at some trade targets for tight ends, because there wasn't much experience left once Jarwin went down. Dalton Schultz, he had a great game, 9 receptions for 88 yards and his first career touchdown. He actually nearly had 2 scores, but I think his elbow just touched down. That was earlier in the game, but it was a great performance by him. I don't think anyone really saw it coming, but Dalton Schultz is looking good. I will let Jack cover this because, it's CeeDee Lamb and he's been high on CeeDee Lamb, but look, they got themselves a steal with him at number 17. And after 2 games, he really looks to be the real deal. 59 yards, 5 catches in week 1, and he did even better in week 2. Great route runner. I'll let Jack finish this off. I don't want to ramble.
No worries. But yeah, just to be clear, our winner for this one is the Cowboys' comeback ability. It's something they just could not do under Jason Garrett. As Anish mentioned, I believe 1-12 under Jason Garrett when down at the half, and obviously they win their first one here under Mike McCarthy. And then we also have a loser in this game. It's kind of everything about what the Falcons did. I mean, they couldn't defend the pass towards the end of the game. What the heck was that onside kick? Like,
exactly.
There was no effort.
That was one of the worst special teams plays I've ever
just
seen.
blunders all over. And
what are it's the effort part for me, man. Like what? Come on. I mean, this is the same thing I was talking about with Wentz in week 1. Offensive line is sluggish to pick your quarterback up. Come on. I mean, this is the NFL. Your job, do your job. Right? You are paid hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, depending on what you play, to do your role. Please do it. I mean,
just
for Atlanta, just
football.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was some of the most porous thing I've ever seen. That is,
bro.
It was worse than. Do you guys remember 2014 Brandon Bostic?
Yep.
That was honestly worse than what the Bostic's hand. What the Jack, just take it over.
I mean, it looked like a whole team of Cam Newtons. Just they didn't even reach down for the ball when it was on the ground. I mean, it's the Falcons. Just they're losers in every sense of the word after today, and this might rub off a little bit on Dan Quinn's coaching style, and this could call him into question if they keep losing games like this because they were up 20-0. The defense played terribly in the second half, and it's. I mean,
I can't even explain. Here's the thing, though. I think Dan Quinn does need to change the scenery, though. I think he's a good coach. As much as people hate on me for it, or would say otherwise, I think he really is. They went 5-2 down the stretch last year, so that's why I thought they could carry some of it over this year. I had them like 7-9, but again, this is a game you have to win. Come on the road, up 20-0. Come on, man. I mean, just Dan Quinn, go somewhere else maybe. I don't even know what to say. I mean, this Falcons team could have easily won this game, had momentum going in to week 3, but sitting 0-2 right now.
Yeah. So, our winner is the Cowboys' comeback ability. Really, really strong performance by them.
Do you think they win the division? Do you think after seeing?
I'm not judging that yet. I'm not going to make a prediction
yet.
Still
the NFC least in my eyes. So
yeah.
I think it's just everyone thought this year would be different, but I think the NFC East is going to be just about the same as it has been for the last couple of years.
Just inconsistent play, wide open. That
low division records. I think
in this division, just very disappointing.
Yeah, and then our losers were just really everything that the Falcons did today. Their offense has been good, but it's just, I mean, you cannot give a positive for a game this bad and a performance this bad towards the end of the game. And our next loser, which is honestly the biggest loser of the week, and it was just terrible to watch, is the league's health in general. Tons of players injured, including big star players. Saquon and Nick Bosa are probably both out for the year. The 49ers were the team hit the hardest. I know Shikar had a really rough day on that. I mean, Bosa, Jimmy G, Mostert, Dre Greenlaw, Solomon Thomas, everyone out, and a lot of them looked like bad injuries, especially the Bosa and Thomas ones. Debo, Sherman, and Kittle were already injured going into this week. It's just
Verrett too.
The Niners have been crushed by injuries, which you suck to see. It hates to see it. You hate to see it. And honestly, it's a representation of what happens when you don't have full camp and full preseason games. This is going to happen. I mean, players across the league. We saw 2 quarterbacks go down. That doesn't happen very often, especially in 1 week. And the amount of star players that got hurt. I mean, we're not even mentioning, I think Anthony Barr got hurt. Byron Jones got hurt.
Malik Hooker.
Tons of players getting hurt.
Christian McCaffrey. It's
goes on, man.
It's happening again. 2017. I don't know if you guys remember this. There were a bunch of players. I remember Odell led them, but it was so many. I remember in 2017. I can't name all of them, but I think Freeman went down. Odell. This was at the time Devontae Freeman was good, right? There were a bunch of. I think Bell also. Just a lot of dysfunction that year. But now we're seeing it here, and you're right. This is a big impact because of no camp and no preseason. Saquon Barkley, dude, that one hurts me the most, obviously, because I traded for him in fantasy literally days before the season started, and yeah, my fantasy season is probably over. But I think it just shows how to win a ring in the NFL, there is some luck involved, right? Mm-hmm. I think it just shows, and you know what? It's fine. A ring is a ring, and I can't even hate no matter how you win it. And for the Niners, I think let's probably shift it over because, again, we can talk about all the injuries, the specific ones, but it's tough. It just shows how, for NFL teams, especially the NFL in general, it is so unpredictable. And it is a facet of the game that I love, but it's also a facet of the game that I truly regret. Just seeing all these guys go down and just a lot of off the field issues today. Obviously, prayers go out to James White. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. Yep. His father obviously passed away, and then his mother is in critical condition at the time we're recording this. So again, prayers out to him. But switching it over to the Niners again, back to the NFC West. The Rams, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks are, I believe, all 2-0, and they looked really good. Niners are 1-1, but they handedly beat the Jets, but not. They haven't looked good
in the league, though.
Huh? Okay, but they look pretty sloppy against the Cardinals. They've looked pretty sloppy against the Cardinals. Here's what I'll say, though.
Yeah.
Again, it's not the panic button if you're a Niners fan. I would not. Again, I'm telling all my friends who are, starting to get worried. You're fine. The next 3 weeks. So Jimmy G's potentially out 4 to 6 weeks. I think the next 3 games are all winnable: Giants, Eagles, and the Dolphins. Then it gets so tough. I mean, we're talking Pats, Packers, Saints, Seahawks. Oh my God. Bills, I think Bills is in that too. That is so tough. And if you don't have Bosa coming off that edge, if it is truly a torn ACL, that is absolutely terrible, as well as Solomon Thomas for that defensive line depth. I think he had another guy, number 92, go down.
Hyder, yeah.
Yeah, so that's another guy on their defensive line. That's something that's pretty much their main strength, right? I think we can all say that. So this is really scary if I'm a Niners fan. I'm not going to obviously push the panic button, but I would be concerned going back into MetLife turf, right? The turf that all these injuries happened on. You're playing on it next week. So hopefully it's a bit better than what we saw. I think they still – I would say do you guys think they can win all 3 games? The Finns, the
I think so.
Eagles, and the Giants?
Yeah, but honestly, I'm expecting 2. I'm expecting at least 2.
I'm expecting 2.
You are an overreactor at heart, so –
yeah,
I know.
That is
I know.
I mean, Strigar does not want to talk about this at all.
I'll talk about it. I'll say this. Many people have talked about whether or not Garoppolo is an above-average quarterback or not. But look, one thing that's certain is that he's better than Nick Mullins. So all the people in the 49ers comments saying, start Nick Mullins, he's better than Jimmy. He's not better than Jimmy. All right? Seeing Nick Mullins in the game just reminded me how much more Jimmy's valuable to this team. And I'd say this, if the Niners were going to win without their starting quarterback with Nick Mullins in place, I think you'd need your full stable of running backs, which you don't have because Mostert's missing time. And you'd also need that defense to be as good or better than they were last season. And with Bosa and Thomas both done for the year, I don't think that's in the cards for this team either. So I think despite how good the Niners were last year, there was room for regression this year. And I said that in our Niners-centric episode or NFC prediction, whatever it was. Regardless of injuries, there was room for regression. And we saw that in week 1. The Niners just looked sloppy against the Cardinals. And, they did beat the Jets, but as I said, New York might be the worst team in the league this year. So it's
also have a pretty bad quarterback at the helm too.
Oh my God. Every episode you bring it up, huh? He played well. I don't want to hear it.
My point is it's only going to get tougher from here. So we'll have to wait on the official word with these injuries because I think there still needs to be an official word. But
I'll ask you this though. Do you think there's any chance they finish last in the division? Do you think there's any chance they still win the division?
With how competitive it is, there is a chance that they do get last, and there is a chance. I don't know if they win it though, because the way Seattle's been looking, I mean, it's going to be hard to bet against.
The way the Cardinals have been. I mean, did you see? I mean, did you see it? I mean, the Kyler Murray's really, he's having that sophomore leap. He's having a similar one to what we've seen from Mahomes and Lamar. I'm not going to say he takes it to that far, but from what it's looking like, I mean, from a Washington team that literally tore up Carson Wentz the week before, right? They're known for their front seven. They're known to be quick and agile and get after the quarterback. You would think it's a good matchup for Kyler Murray, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Completely wrong. The dude ran all over this team. And they have decent safeties too. Apke and Landon Collins are not bad. Kyler gashed them up. I mean, this was incredible to watch. And Cardinals are looking really good. Again, what we said about the Rams, just, again, experience from the course of the years with Sean McVay in Seattle. Russell Wilson still cooking. Mm-hmm. Again, top MVP candidate. But you guys maybe want to switch it over.
Before we kind of move on for the Niners, the thing that we said kind of before the year started is the team that handles this kind of COVID year the best will have the best chance to win.
Whoever adapts the best.
And everyone talked about how, that means just not getting infected by the pandemic. It also has a big deal to do with injuries and preparing your players to play. And obviously the Niners have not been able to adapt to that so far, and they've gotten injuries piled up. You see teams like the Ravens have had no injuries, it seems like.
I don't know, man. How what?
I'm just saying teams that handle this situation the best will do the best. And that's not just based on the pandemic. That's based on adjusting to shorter camps, adjusting to no preseason games. Mm-hmm. The Niners so far have not been handling that great. I think that's very obvious. And you see that in the injury report.
Crazy.
Obviously.
All 3 of our teams are dealing with hell of a lot of injuries.
Sam Darnold played with 2 receivers towards the end of the game, but in the Browns obviously have injuries piling up. And the Niners
all over the defense.
Niners can't even.
Yeah,
we're not catching it.
It's brutal, but the teams that handle it the best will win, and that's showing in its only week 2. But our next loser we go to this one sucks for me because I thought this was kind of a shoe-in pick. The Minnesota's offensive production, a huge loser this week. We saw them hold the ball only for 18 minutes against the Packers and put up 34 points. This week, they put up 11 points against the Indianapolis defense that lost to the Jaguars and allowed Minshew to go 19 of 20, I believe. And this time, Kirk Cousins heavily struggled and threw 3 picks, which I believe is the most in his career.
It was just an all-around bad performance. I think they need Danielle Hunter back too, just off the edge. I mean, they couldn't get much pressure either. It was just a really dominant game for the Colts. They dominated it throughout. This Vikings team, I mean, are you guys concerned with it? Because again, I had them third in the division. I had them 8-8 on the dot. Do you think this team, do you think that you would have them third in the division now with me? Because I know you guys had them second. I think Bears.
No, I think
third.
I had them third. I had both them and the Bears going 8-8.
Listen, I had them second, but falling 0-2, there's not much inspiration really.
And they play the Titans next. Just letting you guys know that too. That's a tough one.
I think one thing I did want to touch on with the Vikings is just that first half, because they did have one solid opening drive where you get a field goal. But outside of that drive, though, the Vikings looked absolutely horrific in the first half.
And another safety allowed.
And that just put them behind early on. And at that point, you're not able to catch up or get much going the rest of the game. And especially in road games, you have to get out to a quick start in the first half because you need to take the home team out of it. And unfortunately for Minnesota, that never really happened.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this for the Colts, though? Because, again, I was high on them. I think this is a great bounce-back win for them, a great bounce-back win for Phillip Rivers. I think this team uses this momentum. I know the Vikings – I still think the Vikings are an impressive team, so I do give them the benefit of the doubt, obviously coming off that playoff win last year. So I give the Colts, a little bit of a good grade going into week 3. Do you guys still think this Colts team has a shot at the playoffs, legit shot?
I wasn't a huge believer in the Colts, and I think that's going to continue until Phillip Rivers can show me he can play a clean game, which he hasn't done in both these games. But the defense bounced back. They bounced back after being gashed a little bit by the Jaguars, especially late in the game. And they proved themselves a little bit. So I didn't have them in the playoffs originally, which I think both of you did. But yeah, he
had him winning the division, which I told him was asinine.
No, I still think that the Titans are better. And I'm not buying into this team yet. I'm going to wait and see a couple weeks. Phillip Rivers hasn't played a clean game yet, and that's not a key to success.
I think
but again, we got to talk quick note on Minshew again, second straight week where he's looked really good. I think we forgot to
I thought they were going to win that game. I really did.
No, as soon as I turned it on, because I turned it on for the final 2 minutes, tipped by the defensive lineman. Dude.
But then again,
really good.
I think the Titans win this division.
Me too.
Now you do. Okay, good.
Now I do.
See, I just need a little bit more time to,
welcome back.
There you go.
Welcome back.
Cannot catch
a break now.
Catch a break.
That was you last week, though, and I can't. It's gonna suck because I know next week then is my week to not be able to catch a break on anything. But it's not looking good.
I love these two. I always get to clown both of them. But you guys ready to go to our?
If each other has a bad week, though, we're on.
Oh, you guys better watch out. We're celebrating that like crazy. But our final loser, which kind of an unexpected one, is the Chiefs' unanimous AFC crown. Yeah, so we really didn't expect the Chiefs game to be that close, and honestly, they struggled against the Chargers while the Ravens really handled the Texans with ease. So, I mean, the loser is the Chiefs' unanimous AFC crown. A lot of people think that they're easily the best team in the AFC and the league, but it was apparent this week that maybe the Ravens are a better team. I've been saying that for a little bit, and we get to see them obviously square off next week, and that's a game I cannot wait for. Going to definitely tune into that one, but I think that, the Chiefs, they've lost that unanimous AFC crown while they struggled and while the Ravens really, they dominated again.
Yeah, is it cool if I start on this?
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go.
All right. The Chiefs and the Chargers, I'll touch on that first. When we heard that Herbert was going to start, how long was it before the game was even started?
It was when the game started.
Right, it was when the game started.
I saw him through.
Game started.
I was like, that doesn't look like Tyrod Taylor.
Why is he in here? What? Yeah.
We didn't even know, but of course, Taylor went out with a rib injury. I think it was an aggravated rib. You might have to fact check me on that. I wasn't too sure, but look, Herbert looked like the real deal. He looked very impressive. He was poised. He was confident. Looked like he had a solid command of this offense. And, he had no preseason games, and he was sitting for week 1. So that's very impressive to me. Anthony Lynn, he recently said that if Tyrod's 100% ready to go, then he's their starter. I still think they should start Herbert, even if Tyrod Taylor's healthy. But, I mean, we'll see how that goes. But the Ravens, I thought they were going to beat the Texans. I had them in a blowout. They made quick work of the Texans. Deshaun Watson I feel like he needs DeAndre Hopkins. It's just, they look a little bit lost, and it's just,
He looks good, though.
He looks fine.
Good. He looked good, but they have a tough slate. I mean, it really looks like they regressed a bit, but look, Deshaun Watson is still a good quarterback. He's still top 6 in my eyes. So I think the Ravens, they could really challenge the Chiefs. Week 3, we're going to see both of them face off, which is going to be probably the best game of the week, maybe one of the best games of the year. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I want to first off, when Jack put this on, I wanted to say this I still disagree. I think the Chiefs are unanimous AFC contenders. And here's the thing. I'm not willing to give the Ravens that just yet, because when it mattered most, what happened? The Chiefs clearly outplayed the Chargers. And you know what? I'll touch on Herbert really quick, because I love kind of analyzing quarterbacks. And he looked really good. Jack and I were both pretty high on him coming in. I know Jack was saying there were some times where he would make some ill-advised throws. And you know what? We saw that, right? The one throw, because I watched this game from end to end. I think I didn't even finish the Browns game last week, so I couldn't do that. That was just embarrassment. And I turned it off a little bit earlier for when they played Cincy. But this was a game I watched end to end the entire game, and I'm so glad I did, because I got to see Justin Herbert really for the first time in a full game. Again, I told you guys I saw him against Auburn, but this was really where I got to see it, and I was very impressed. He was very like Shrikar said, he took control of the offense very well. I really liked how he was able to move in the pocket, good presence, and he looked confident with the football. Here's the thing, and you know what? One of the best things that could have happened to him was when he rolled out to his left, and instead of running for the first down, he throws a pick. I don't know if you guys saw that, but when I watched that, that was actually one of the best things that could have happened to him, because guess what? That's a rookie mistake. That's a classic rookie mistake. Obviously, if a veteran quarterback like Russell Wilson will run for the first down, Patrick Mahomes, a guy who literally had a similar situation, ran for the first down. So he's learning. And guess what? Literally about 10 minutes of game time later, he was in the exact same spot and he ran for the first down. So he's learning in the game, and we're getting to see that. And I think that's so cool. Obviously, he took a pretty big sack. That was the only other rookie mistake I saw from him. He looked tremendous. I really don't think this game would have been close with Tyrod starting. I just don't think he would have been able to overcome the Chiefs. And also the Chiefs were ready for Tyrod Taylor, I feel like. So Justin Herbert was a great wild card for them. Chargers were really – I really think they should have gone for it in overtime on that 4th and 1. I also think they should have gone for it and not taken the field goal late in the game, because if you give it to Mahomes, boy, if you give it to that man, he is going to win the game, okay? And, you know, Harrison Butker is the best kicker in the league.
I've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
My God.
He did it 3 times in a row.
Appreciate you for those 13 fantasy points, my guy. But, like, dude, I mean, here's the thing. When you say unanimous AFC crown, why would you take it away after when it mattered most? They clearly outplayed them, and they looked so good when they did. I mean, Chargers couldn't get a stop when they needed to. Mahomes was great. Tyreek Hill stepped it up in the waning moments. Edwards-Helaire had a good catch, right? It was a perfect offense. Travis Kelce got in it a little bit too. Why would I lose faith in the Chiefs after struggling for like 1 or 2 quarters? I mean, sure, fine, they were down, but as long as you win the game, and the way they won it was perfectly fine in my eyes. Even if they had gone for, I think they would have. If they had gone for it on that 4th and 1, I think they would have gotten it. But they trusted the guy, Harrison Butker. He came through 3 straight 50-yarders. But yeah, not willing to give up on the unanimous crown just yet. I still think they are the no question best team in football. Ravens are no question number 2 though, but I'm still going to give it to the Chiefs.
That's
what if the
interesting.
Ravens beat the Chiefs? Would you say it's the Ravens then?
If the Ravens beat the Chiefs, depends on how they do it. And if they do it convincingly, sure. But if not, I would still go with Kansas City, because again, for me, it's playoffs. So I don't care if you go 16-0. You got to do it when it matters.
Yeah, I think that I still have the Chiefs as the best team, but I still think the Ravens are. I'm not going to spoil my pick. I'm going to try and figure it out, and I'm not going to pick it too early. But the Ravens, they're definitely pushing for that number 1 spot in the AFC, and so the Chiefs, I do not believe they hold the unanimous crown still. I didn't think they held it after week 1, and I'm not sure they ever held a unanimous, top the AFC title.
Well, I think they should be the unanimous favorite.
Yeah, I do too. But I think that, I really think Baltimore's pushing him. And then to touch on Justin Herbert, this is why I had him as my number 2 QB in the draft. It's just the upside. I think he has a lot more upside than Tua. Obviously, he's going to make mistakes. We're going to touch on that a lot in the Chargers episode we did, but this is why I had him as my number 2 quarterback, is because he came in and he dueled Patrick Mahomes in his first NFL game that he didn't know he was starting until a couple minutes or
honestly
before game time.
outplayed him for
Arguably
for
outdueled him.
3 quarters. I think he really did, but when it mattered most, obviously.
Yeah, Patrick.
I know that, but I mean, he played well, and this is why I really liked him coming out into the draft, is because he's got the most upside, I believe, of any quarterback in the draft, even higher than Joe Burrow. And he showed it. And there's going to be games where he's going to struggle, and that's obvious. But when he's got it on, this team can be dangerous under him. And so
this is another example, right? When Jared and I were talking about it too, like Bengals fans we've got a lot to look forward to with Joe Burrow. Chargers fans, you guys got a lot to look forward. However many of you guys that are out there that are but whoever is out there that's a Chargers fan, you got a lot to look forward to with Justin Herbert.
Yeah. So, I mean, to recap kind of at the end of the episode, our winners are the Rams contender status, the Packers offensive versatility, the Buccaneers defensive caliber, the Cowboys comeback ability, and then our losers are everything about what the Falcons did this week, the league's health in general, Minnesota's offensive production, and then the Chiefs' unanimous AFC crown. Obviously, a couple of us agree on that, and he's not completely agreeing on that, but I think that a lot around the league and around the fan bases, there's a lot of people that are kind of putting them into question compared to what the Ravens have done. But we did a giveaway recently on our Instagram, and these people won access to our fantasy league, which is going great and having a ton of fun there, as well as they get shout outs in every single NFL episode we do for the year. So go follow them right here. Tell them Cold Hard Truth sent you. But really, that's our winners and losers for NFL Sunday Week 2. Monday night tomorrow, hopefully New Orleans, takes care of business and beats
Darren
Las
Waller.
Vegas.
Please get me 1 catch. Or sorry, get me 1 yard. All I need.
All he needs. But
I'm down 0.02. Give me 1 yard, please. But yeah, kind of wrap this up. Go follow us.
Watch him get no catches.
Please, no, please. But again, follow all our socials down below. Again,
let us know what you think in the comments about anything we talked about.
Yeah, any other questions you guys might have had. Week 3's got a lot of good matchups, so I'm excited for that. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.